Matt, you talked about potentially having to get rid of some players that maybe aren't with the Niners moving to Trey. Our guy Stuart brought up the question today. Are the Niners buyers or sellers at the trade deadline?
It's going to depend with what happens in the next couple of weeks. If they don't take care of business against Colts and they can't pull out a win against the Bears, I definitely think that they could start looking to sell. And particularly, again, my mind just keeps, and this is, nobody has any information or this or that. I'm not saying I want it to happen, but my mind keeps going back to George Kittle. George Kittle is starting to get up there in age. He's, plays a physical style that lends him to getting injured. We know that he's super on board with Jimmy. And so if there was somebody in the locker room that I felt like would be going to bat for Jimmy in a way that could be detrimental to the team moving on from Jimmy, I think it would be George. And the team could look to move him. And again, this is just worst case scenario. I don't think that, it's necessarily a true thing. I'm just looking at it outside in, just like everybody else. But I do think that if anybody was, it sucks to say, but who else would you really be wanting to move? Kittle signed that gigantic contract and now he's injured again. So,
it's tough. Ian Sharp's asking, have we seen the best of Kittle?
I think so. I don't know how, again, he plays that physical style. I think, again, the year that he set the record, which has subsequently been broken, I think that was the best that we were going to get out of Kittle. He's still an amazing tight end when he's playing, but the problem is availability. And he missed games last year, and he's missing games this year. And, it's a rarity, that Kittle has played 16 games.
I agree.
It's unfortunate. And, I'm kind of pulling it up right here. He's played 16 games once. And the last 2 years have been very, very injury filled. So, it's not good enough, man. It's not good enough. I don't know. I don't know what to say with the George Kittle thing. I just think that he, again, because he plays 115% all the time. Like I said, with the baseball references, it was like Bryce Harper was early in his career, where everything was just balls to the wall all the time. There's no changeup. Everything's a fastball. And in football, you're just going to end up getting injured. And somebody who's been injured that many times, you don't start getting more healthy as you hit 29, 30, 31, 32. You know what I mean? And when his physical gifts go, what is he going to be left with? That's the real question that I have. These injuries are just going to shorten his potential prime. And, maybe we have seen the best of Kittle, to be honest.
Yeah. I spoke with Dr. Nirav Pandya. He's the director of sports med at UCSF. The interview should be out by tomorrow. Keep an eye on that on our YouTube channel. But we actually talked about George Kittle a little bit, and he was talking about how he really liked the decision to put him on IR and let that injury fully heal. It's going to be tough, man. But I agree with you, Matt. I think the next two games are going to be really telling of where this team is and where they're going. With Seattle losing Russell Wilson, for 6 to 8 weeks, however long that injury was quoted for. The NFC West is a little closer now. And, they played both the Cardinals and the Seahawks very tough, very close losses. We'll see how they play LA. The Niners have not played them with Matthew Stafford, but historically they have played them tough as well. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I really do think that this team, they're the sand, whatever those little sand glass things, it's getting to the bottom of that hourglass. There you go. Yeah. The sand's getting close there, and it's time to flip it over pretty soon. So they better get it in order.
You've been partaking in the 81 vino there, Zach?
A little bit, just a little bit. Long day.
And I agree with Steve. The hospital balls to Kittle don't help him either, but that's the thing. Who's throwing him those? And that it makes it so weird to me that Kittle is just such a big Jimmy Hawk. I know they're friends, but at some point, like if my friend, gets me hurt enough, I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? Can you not?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's difficult to believe that Kittle is such a Jimmy honk when Jimmy has just nearly ended his season 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
And look at the success that he's had with Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard and stuff. It's just he always seems to get hurt when Jimmy is playing. Maybe Jimmy is the issue here all around.
Yep, that's a good point. And touching on have we seen the best of Kittle? I think we've seen the best, maybe statistically. However, the Niners shouldn't need him to be that to have success. They need just 85% of Kittle consistently with the other weapons, with a competent quarterback. That's a great offense right there with Debo, Ayuk, once they finally get him involved. I really do think that that's all they need from him. But he plays so physically. The hospital balls don't help. It's tough.
And I'm not saying, and Coach brings up the comment that the injuries are not the fault of the QB. I'm not saying that they're the fault of Jimmy. I'm just saying that putting George in those positions doesn't help. Jimmy throwing those passes the way. Like I still cannot believe that George Kittle did not tear his ACL.
Yeah.
In that game.
He bent completely backwards. Yeah. Let's see. Coach added, if you want to blame the quarterbacks, put a play highlight reel of quarterbacks exposing Kittle on routes, and then we could talk. That's called proof.
I mean, I can
There's
put up
plenty.
I can put up a highlight reel of Jimmy Garoppolo exposing George Kittle.
Yeah.
Again, the pass where George looked like he tore his ACL. You have the Buda Baker one. Like there are instances of Jimmy. I'm not saying that the injuries are because of that.
We're just saying they don't help.
They don't help.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. It's like a boxer, right? You might not get knocked out with like eating jabs all day, but eating jabs all day don't help you from, preventing you getting knocked out. Yeah. If that makes sense. You're just racking up wear and tear when you take those big hits like that, because instead of hitting you between the numbers and the hands, you have to jump for a ball to go and get it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.